Like, you know, when you're going after Hillary Clinton's record, I never talked about her pantsuits or her, what does she have? Hot sauce? That hot sauce in her bag? I never talked about any of that. I talked about her record, her warmongering, and her donors. That's it. But when you do that, you're a sexist, you're a Bernie bro, and now you can't win. And then when you cover a man journalistically, again, David covering him, but I wrote about Beto as well. It's a war. It's a public war. And they're doing this. It's kind of like reverse psychology. But it's crazy. And it's really a not so subtle, it's like reverse psychology. They're trying to make it seem like these vicious Bernie bros. And by the way, there's a lot of female Bernie supporters. Can we broaden it out? Like, let's call them, just call them Bernie brats, because brats could be male and female. These Bernie bros, these Bernie gals, they're waging this unfair war. Well, this is from sludge.com. This is his record. Beto O'Rourke literally took over 20 campaign donations from oil and gas executives. Nobody made him do that. He took oil and very large donations, over $200, from oil and gas executives. And by the way, a quick look on opensecrets.org. Top recipients of oil and gas money for the 2018 campaign. Lucifer, right at the top. Who's number 2? Beto O'Rourke. So, you make your bed, you got to sleep in it. So if Beto O'Rourke, if he wants to go on a debate stage and say, hey, I was representing Texas and we're the biggest oil manufacturer and exporter in the country, and, as representing my constituents, many of which are in the oil industry, I took money from those executives. Then let him say that and let people decide if that's who they want to be president based on who he's taken money from. I would argue that the tide is shifting and it's going to be an unacceptable thing for any presidential candidate to be taking fossil fuel money, which Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in part responsible for. I mean, I think we need more than a committee. To be honest with you, I appreciate her efforts, but we need way more than a committee. But she is starting to get establishment Democrats on the record to say they're going to stop accepting fossil fuel money. We will have to keep them honest and follow their donations to make sure they're being honest, because Beto O'Rourke said he signed the no fossil fuel pledge and then he broke it. I mean, look, this is from Sludge. I have confirmed that according to the latest campaign finance report, which covers the period from October 17th through October 26th, the O'Rourke campaign had not returned 29 large donations of over $200 from oil and gas executives, violating the no fossil fuel money pledge O'Rourke signed. So is this an attack or is this just the facts? It would be an attack if they wrote after that he signed, making him a fraud. Yeah, that's kind of an attack. It's true, but it's kind of an attack. But this is not an attack. These are facts. Facts are stubborn things. He took not like one donation, lots of donations from oil execs. He also took number two to Ted Cruz. I mean, he's taken more from oil and gas than Paul Ryan and John Barrasso. John Barrasso's from Wyoming, another big oil state. So I don't want to hear about Beto O'Rourke as being so unfairly attacked. You know who is being unfairly attacked? David Sirota. David Sirota is being unfairly attacked. And I didn't even talk to David Sirota before this, so he didn't ask me to defend him. But my God, you would think that David Sirota, you would think that he stole his cat or stole his lunch money or burned Neera Tanden's apartment complex down. I'm not giving you any ideas. Don't do that. My God. I mean, look at this. For some strange reason, David Simon, who's the creator of The Wire, which is one of the greatest shows of all time, he's just deranged because David Sirota had the audacity to write about Beto O'Rourke's voting record. David Sirota couldn't tell a complete, contextualized truth if his life and the life of Bernie Sanders himself depended on such. Here's for you, fucknuts. Oh, holy cow. What exactly was out of context? How can you just list what somebody has voted on and that be out of context? That's incredible to me. Then you have some, I don't even know who that is, saying that David Sirota worked for Trump's campaign manager? I guess, which one? Corey Lewandowski, Paul Manafort, who's now in prison. Okay, so Manafort. As David points out, behold this tweet as an illustration of how deranged the Democratic establishment's Twitter army is. The idea that I worked for Trump's jailed campaign manager is way beyond anything even vaguely related to truth. It is 100% malicious libel, a complete and total fabrication. Here you have a CNN commentator. It's time for Bernie to step off and call off the dogs. If not, he'll pay a price for his bros. And again, that Jonathan Allen right there, who is a co-writer of the piece, literally came to NBC News after working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And as David Sirota points out, for the last week, folks accused me of being a political operative and not a real journalist because I worked for Bernie 19 years ago. Yet, much more recently, NBC's Jonathan Allen was a Wasserman Schultz staffer and Alex Seitz-Wald was a Center for American Progress staffer. You know, near a Tandon shop. They haven't faced the same accusation. I mean, honestly, if I would have tried to get more tweets, like arrows attacking David Sirota, I literally would be spending all day on this. There were so many. I mean, the guy was under attack, under siege on Twitter for doing the work of a journalist. And you know what? So what if he worked for Bernie Sanders? And so what if he supports Bernie Sanders? So do I. Doesn't make a difference. His facts are right. It's not, what I always say is, hey, put out your beliefs out in the open and people could read you or watch you if they want. Most people are kind of realizing that these so-called neutral journalists at CNN or the neutral people at MSNBC or the New York Times, not exactly neutral. And I'm not neutral. The stories I cover are informed. I cover things because I am progressive. But I don't fudge facts because I'm progressive. Those are two different things. And I've never seen Sirota fudge anything. Or even have to issue a major correction. But honestly, this ain't really about David Sirota. And it's not really about Beto O'Rourke. This is about propaganda. Because let's call it what it is. In 2016, you want to talk about a public war. I mean, Bernie Sanders was like the Revolutionary Army originally against the British. I mean, he was taking on Clinton, the Clinton campaign. He was taking on the national media. He was taking on the state media. He was taking on the DNC. I mean, all of those were coordinating, or shall I say, colluding to destroy Bernie Sanders. The Washington Post and Politico still, they basically alternate every week which one is going to write a more critical, ridiculous story about Bernie Sanders. But somehow, one journalist who worked for Bernie Sanders 20 years ago is waging a public war, and Bernie bros are waging a public war. You know what? I would say Beto O'Rourke is waging a public war against our planet by voting with the fossil fuel industry, against working people by voting to deregulate Wall Street. How about we talk about that public war? You know, he's helping push these ridiculous and unnecessary and dangerous pipelines through because he voted to lift the ban on a decades-long export ban. Nobody made him vote for that. His donors probably played a part in him voting for that. Or nobody voted for him to vote with Republicans for offshore drilling. I mean, I just interviewed Beto's primary opponent, Sema Hernandez, who you could watch that interview here on the channel. I interviewed her last week. I mean, She was saying all of this, during the primary campaign against Beto O'Rourke. The only problem was she didn't get a microphone. The Young Turks didn't interview her. Nobody interviewed her, including me. I take responsibility too. Nobody gave her the time of the day during the primary. She's a single, not a single mother. She's a mother of 4. She didn't have health care. She had a great story. Latina, but nobody gave her the time of the day. She was saying all of this about Beto O'Rourke. But I'm just saying, prepare yourself. Because, this is barely taking off the gloves. David Sirota barely lifted a finger on Beto O'Rourke. So, if you think this is how they react to the Beto voting record, oh my God, wait. Just wait until Kamala Harris. Because I'm going to do stories on Kamala Harris. Mrs., let's not go after Steve Mnuchin. Let's go meet with Hillary Clinton's donors in the Hamptons over the summer. Yeah, Kamala Harris met with Hillary Clinton's donors in the Hamptons. People don't generally meet in the Hamptons to heal the world. These are the elites meeting and partying in the Hamptons together. And by the way, these were the same people that are attacking David Sirota right now, loved David Sirota last year or earlier this year when he broke a story about Republican Senator Bob Corker taking kickbacks to vote for Trump's tax cuts. Oh, they loved David Sirota then. He was being heralded all over neoliberal establishment Twitter. Even Neera Tanden was sending out love, saying, "Pox on Bob Corker.